Well, howdy, folks, and welcome to the Dick Vincent Drive-In. I'm your host, Dick Vincent, and with me is my co-host, Dick Vincent.
Yeah, two today. We look different, but we're the same.
Yeah, except one, not nearly as studly as.
Oh, we could have a good debate on that, I'm sure.
Well, today is going to be kind of a train wreck because I have two notes, and that's it for everything.
Man, you got two more than I do.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to ask, have you seen any new or old cool sci-fi or obscure action movies or anything you wanted to been excited about lately?
No, the one thing I did find that was cool recently, I had a really good thrift store find, which I don't hardly anymore. They all seem to be cleared out by the time I get there. But I found I think six Jean-Claude Van Damme DVDs.
Oh wow, six individual ones or like a
Yeah,
collection?
six individual ones. It's really cool because they were all from like the Hong Kong directors. He did work with like Ringo Lam and
Mm.
John Woo, and so I didn't see those in a long time. So I watched those, and I had a lot of fun with those.
What was the standout of the bunch?
The one I really enjoyed was Knockoff,
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
which was when he's in Hong Kong. It's directed by Ringo Lam, and it's got all this. He's like an importer, exporter of bootleg blue jeans and stuff, and gets involved. But I really enjoyed that one. I forgot how enjoyable those movies were. I haven't seen them in a long time.
Was blue jeans something that needed to be knocked or
I guess
imported
back in
here?
the '80s, the designer jeans,
Oh, okay.
and he got involved with spies and everything. And yeah, but I had a lot of fun with those.
I'll tell you, the days of the thrift store, eBay has really kind of ruined that because you don't nearly find the deals and the rare finds you used to because now everyone just immediately jumps on eBay, sees, oh, how much is this worth, and starts charging what it's going for online.
Yeah, and what happens with the thrift stores too that I noticed there is people show up right when they open and they've got the scanner app from Amazon built into their phone and they just walk down and scan the barcode on DVDs. They don't even look at it. And anything that pops up on Amazon, I guess that's priced at, $10 or more, they just grab.
What was the last like really rare, unique, or just cool find you found it that just really blew your mind that you found at a thrift store and say got for a really good price?
Oh, man, it's been so long. I did find um this kind of ties in with our episode actually today, hint hint
Hmm.
for later. I found the big Aliens Blu-ray box set with like all four of the movies and all the
Hmm.
documentaries and all the alternate cuts. I never got it. I still have my old DVDs, and I think I found that. I think it was, I want it's like $6.
Hmm. Oh wow, wow, that is a good deal.
Yeah, and as far as rare stuff, I found a couple of the Criterion John Woo DVDs once, like years ago, which are
Hmm.
pretty impossible to find. But yeah, you don't find anything these days. How about you? Do you ever score anything?
Yeah, mine would probably be about 10 years ago now. And it was this guy behind me in the case, that Inframan. And there was only like 500 of those ever made, from what I understand. And those, from what I understand, were only ever released at a trade show in Hong Kong. Yet I was at a thrift store and someone had it right there. I mean, he's missing a few of his accessories, but it was like $60 for that. And they go for probably around $900,000 online,
Wow.
and they were already that much at the time too. That's the thing. So when I saw it, I was blown away because I almost didn't even want to ask the price because I knew it was going to be something crazy expensive, but it wasn't.
So this was a store that kind of specialized in collectibles and things like that?
Well, it's a place in LA called Frankensons, and it's basically kind of, I guess you'd say, like a flea market type thing that specializes, like you said, in collectibles and sports memorabilia, and it's open 2 days a week, like all year long.
Hmm. That's surprising if someone let that slip through like that. But
I know.
lucky score for you though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he had a whole table of just open six scale figures. And I guess because they were open, he just assumed they weren't worth that much anymore.
Hmm, cool.
Jumping back to watching stuff lately, it's no secret at all that I don't watch a lot of modern movies. I think people probably picked up on that. But I do watch a lot of modern TV, in particular modern UK TV. And I actually been watching two series recently that are really been enjoying. And the first, which I actually finished, was called Detectorist. Are you familiar with that one?
No.
Yeah, it was actually recommended by a viewer, Mr. Jason the Wet Dog, and it's this very just calm, mellow comedy about two guys that are in a metal detecting club.
Wow.
And it's just like I said, it's calm, it's relaxing, it's almost like comfort food in show form. You can just sit back and watch and relax. I mean, there's a little bit of drama, but even the drama that's on it is calm and mellow, kind of very just sedate drama. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Oh, so it's like metal detectors, like where you go on a beach and stuff and look for coins and stuff
Yep.
like that. Oh,
Sure.
wow.
Sure is. And the main star guy is actually, you probably know him from the Pirates of the Caribbean's movies. He's the tall, skinny pirate with the glass eye.
Oh, yeah. Well, that sounds interesting. So it just follows them as they go out looking for stuff.
Yeah, and just that kind of their adventures. And there's a rival metal detecting club that they're kind of evil, so they kind of butt heads, but very British and properly butt heads. But
Wow.
and then the other is one that a show I avoided like the plague for a long time because I just had a completely wrong idea about this show. I thought it was going to be kind of a more modest Sex in the City for some reason, but it turned out to be this great historical drama, and that's Downton Abbey.
Oh, I've never seen that, but I've heard good. Everyone loves it.
You would like it a lot, especially the war buff in you, because season two, for example, they're kind of going through World War One and the trials and tribulations of that. Very good with very strong performances.
Oh, good, good. Yeah. Well, now that you recommended it, I'm definitely going to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Prime right now. Again, highly
Oh,
recommended.
cool.
And even though it's this serious historical drama, there's a lot of humor too, very well placed humor. The lady that plays McGonagall on in the Harry Potter movies is so funny on this show. I mean, she is just really just has a real knack for comedy.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah. Plus, it's on Prime. I need to watch more on Prime to get my money's worth.
Yeah, especially since they keep raising the price.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so now getting to the actual meat of this episode, we wanted to talk a little bit more about cons because we ran out of time last time and didn't get to touch on all the things we wanted to talk about con
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always a lot to talk about with cons. So yeah.
So, one of my most memorable memories from a con, and I kick myself to this day for not getting an autograph, but at one of the Dragon Cons in the late 90s, Jonathan Harris was there, Dr. Smith from Lost in
Oh,
Space. But by the time I ran across him, I had already run out of money. I'm not sure if he wasn't there the first day or what happened, and I just overspent and was out of money. But I stopped and talked to him, and he was extreme. Him and his handler both were very, very nice. Even though I didn't, you couldn't buy anything, he still stopped and talked, and it was amazing because he did not have a line at his booth a single time the entire day.
huh. When was this? Like back in the about what year do you
I
remember?
really want to say 99, but it
Oh,
could
okay.
could have been 98, late 90s, one of the late 90s Dragon Cons.
Oh, okay. I was probably there too because that's when I was going to Dragon Con.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was really interesting because they were at a different place than they'd ever been before, and the way the tables were lined up, there was like a line of tables, just a whole gap of empty space, and then a line of tables behind them, and almost directly behind him, catty cornered, was Brinky Stevens. And I remember that's when I first met her because I was actually in line for another table, and our line, I mean, it just those days when the lines would be in front of other tables. They didn't organize them quite as well as they do today. And my line was had stopped in front of her table, and she just started talking to us and just had a nice little conversation waiting in line.
Yeah, I met her years ago at a ChillerCon, and she was really nice. Thinking back, I mean, I've had friends that have had bad experiences with guests, but I've never had a bad experience with a guest. I guess I've been lucky. I've been at cons with friends who they've had bad experiences. I was there and saw the bad experience, but I've never had one directly.
Wow, that's a good question. I don't think I have either. Now, when I was living in LA, I'd met a couple celebrities that weren't too groovy, but as far as like cons and meeting guests, yeah, I think everyone was pretty nice.
Yeah, it surprised me, when people do have bad interactions and people are just grouchy or in a bad mood. I mean, maybe you're not feeling well that day, but I mean, you came to the con to interact with people. I can
Mhm.
see stopping somebody in a restaurant or on the street and them being a little put off or grouchy to you, but you came to the con to meet people.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My buddy Ricky Blaylock, the artist, part of the Monster Magazine family, they would do a lot of cons, and they have a couple of pretty amusing amusing stories about, on the other side of things, meeting guests that were kind of jerky. But
Yeah, one of the nicest guys I've ever met that really sticks out in my mind was Fred Williamson.
oh, I bet. Oh, he's so cool. I'd
He
love to meet
was
him.
just everyone that came up was like he shook your hand and slapped you
Mhm.
on the back and signed it and just had stories and just super personable. Just like acted like everyone who came up there was his best friend in the world.
Well, the world really has changed in that regard because it used to be these people like Fred Williamson, who mostly did B movies and exploitation films, probably didn't even know they have this big generation of fans out there. So at those times, they were probably just really tickled that, hey, we have fans. People want to meet us. It was probably exciting.
Yeah, back in probably the late 90s, maybe, Barbara Bouchette came to Chiller. And I think at the time she was living in Italy and over here. And it was kind of one of those things where I think she just happened to be in New York or something and said, someone told her, you should go to Chiller. And she came there and I was talking to her and she said, I had no idea that anyone would ever stand in line to get my autograph.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And she was really cool. But yeah, she was just like, I had no idea that people even remember who I am.
Jumping back a little, what did you get Fred Williamson to sign?
I got him to sign the one sheet for one of the Italian post nuke movies he did after the fall of New York, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's always great in those.
You ever see any of his really old movies before the mustache? He looks so strange without his mustache.
He does. Yeah. It looks like you wouldn't even recognize him. Yeah.
Folks, it's funny. It's kind of gotten on this because our original topic for this show was going to be kind of our favorite movie. Yeah, I hate the term knockoffs, but our favorite inspired by movies. But we just kind of decided we didn't know if we could fill a whole pod with just that kind of talk. But Fred Williamson, he did some really good ones of those, like Black Cobra, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of those guys that you look at his filmography and you forget how many movies that guy made. I mean, he did tons of westerns.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
some of his westerns are some of some really good ones.
yeah, things like the Legend of and Charlie and a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch of good stuff. And yeah, he's one of those guys that he just comes on the screen and he's just got this great charisma.
Did you realize there were four Black Cobra movies? I just saw that. I didn't.
Oh,
Yeah, there were four of them. They all kind of came out very close together.
wow, wow. I saw one recently. Was one of the something I've had around forever, and I finally watched. She did a movie with Cynthia Rothrock
Oh wow.
called Night Vision, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty cool. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
I tell you, my first exposure to him was when I was a kid, a young kid. I don't know if I'd started school yet. Even I had seen 1990, The Bronx Warriors, and he has a pretty memorable role in that one. And I
yeah.
think
That's
just
the one. That's the one sheet I got signed.
oh Bronx. Okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
And that one, because it was just such a memorable memory for me, memorable moment. It just always stuck with me. So I've always kind of had a Fred Williamson soft spot because of that movie.
yeah. The thing I always remember him in was Three the Hard Way with
Right.
Jim Brown and Jim Kelly. He wears some great suits in that,
Oh,
and
that
yeah, I love that movie. It's
that
like
is
a
a
James
great movie.
James Bond kind of. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Very, very underrated.
It is. Yeah.
It really surprises me to this day just how much is still MIA. Like I was recently looking for Russ Meyer stuff, and except for Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, you can just not find anything of his.
There's something that must be because he owns all those films, and there
Mhm.
must be something messed up with his estate because his estate brought out like maybe 2 years ago they brought out Faster Pussycat Kill Kill on Blu-ray. It
Really,
was
I haven't
kind of
seen
what,
that.
yeah, it was kind of one of those things where you ordered it direct from them. It was available
Mm.
for 2 weeks, then it was gone.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and luckily years, like 10, 15 years ago, I was able to score that big box set of DVDs that came out with all of his movies. But yeah, his stuff is it's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, because my copy of Fast Pussycat Kill 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 is a V8 VHS I taped off cable. And I've actually been looking for that box set, that very box set you mentioned. It runs for like $450 at the cheap end right now.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I figure there has to be something that the estate is going through or something.
I really keep hoping someone, I mean, Criterion would be best, but even Arrow, if Arrow would just get a hold of it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I that stuff is great and it needs to be seen by everybody.
Mhm. So, who's some other guests at cons that you've met that you particularly had good experiences with?
Um, I've met Candy Clark a couple times,
Mhm.
again at Chiller, and she's always just really, really sweet. She's just real personable. Really liked her.
Sounds like that chiller really has kind of a diverse lineup of guests.
I
Like all
haven't
these
been
people you
there
mentioned.
in years, but back in the 90s, when I used to go in early 2000s, they just had tons of people there. They had people there that you never saw before.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I have a friend who's a big Kiss fan,
Mhm.
and Peter Chris was at a show around here.
Oh.
And we went to him, and he had a huge line, and I stood in line with my friend, and he got up there to get some sign. And Peter Chris is just, he was one of the nicest people. He goes, "You don't have anything to sign?" I go, "Oh, I'm just standing in line with my friend." He goes, "Oh, that's the nicest thing in the world." And he knew, found out I was from Detroit, and they were big in Detroit. And I go, "I saw you guys at Cobo Arena." He goes, "Oh, Cobo, that's great." He was just really cool.
I've always liked him. I always hate that they just can't seem to work it out with him.
Yeah, I I mean, I've never been, you've been in a band, so maybe you have more experience with this, but I just can't believe that when you're getting to be up in years, that you just can't bury the hatchet and say, let's get together and do this one more time.
I say that same thing, but then I think about it. There's a couple of band members I've been in bands with that, yeah, I heard Motley Crue is kind of going through a little bit of public drama right now because Mick had decided to retire from touring, but he didn't necessarily want to leave the band. But I guess so they've kind of pushed him out since he won't tour anymore. And so now he's suing because they pushed him out of this band he's been in for 41 years. But the thing is those kind of bands really all they do is tour for the most part. So if you're not touring, kind of how are you a part of the band per se?
Yeah, that's true because I know he's had a lot of health issues,
Mhm.
and that's what happened years ago too with the drummer from Cheap Trick. I'm a big
Okay.
Cheap Trick fan, and same thing. He got old and just couldn't do the touring thing anymore, and they said, "Okay, fine, you're out." And they hired, like the lead singer's son to do the drumming or something like
Okay.
that. Yeah, yeah, it's sad the way things turn out sometimes with bands, but
But I think in that case, the main reason why people are kind of siding with Mick is because just everyone likes Mick.
yeah, he always seemed like a real personable guy in the interviews and stuff. Him and the bass player, was it Nikki Six?
Nikki, yeah,
He
yeah.
always seemed like a pretty decent guy too.
Did you? I mean, it was a lot of fiction. I mean, it was basically predominantly fiction. But you ever see their movie, The Dirt, on
Yes,
Netflix?
yeah,
I thought that was quite good.
yeah. I love the guy who played Mick Mars.
Yeah, that's that's
It's,
that's where I was going with it. Yeah.
yeah, especially at the beginning when he was like, trying out for the band and
Mm,
everything. And yeah, I thought it was really the one role I was disappointed in that movie was the guy who played Vince Neil.
right. Hmm.
I didn't think he just had, I don't know what it was, but he just didn't really fit the role for me.
He kind of lacked Vince's swagger.
Maybe that was it.
Or
Yeah.
Vince's confidence. Like he just didn't exude confidence like Vince always seemed to.
Yeah. He just seemed kind of, I don't know, like inconspicuous sometimes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Like you said, he lacked the swagger. Yeah.
The guy that played Mick, I forget his name, but I first was exposed to his work on Game of Thrones. And he is like one of the most evil characters in the history of anything on that show. I mean, he's one of those guys you love to hate. He is really rough on that show. And so that was kind of my first, he just seemed like that. But then later, I saw him on another UK show called Vicious, which is one of my absolute favorites. And he plays a good guy on that one. It totally turned me around on him just seeing him on Vicious.
Oh wow. So is he British? Do you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, because he really pulled off a great American accent in The Dirt.
That's another show right there that I highly recommend is Vicious. And I forget two main stars. One of them is Ian McKellen. I forget who
Oh,
plays, but it's just basically about two kind of, I mean, the name sums it up, kind of just two vicious gay guys. They're a couple and they just kind of snark at each other constantly. But it's hilarious. Highly
oh
recommend.
wow. So it's kind of like The Odd Couple, only with two gay guys.
Yeah, odd couple if they were a couple.
Wow, that does sound interesting. Yeah, I like Ian McKellen a lot.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Ian McKellen, I mean, he can do anything he wants very well, but he's another one that has such a knack for comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very good on it. Like I said, very funny show, highly recommended. But
Oh,
being a UK show, it's short. Their seasons are often short, and they just kind of do them when they feel like.
yeah. He did that really great movie, Gods and Monsters, where he played James Whale.
I've heard a lot about that one, but never actually
It's
got around to
really
seeing
good.
it.
It's got a Brendan. It's probably one of Brendan Fraser's first movies. First thing I noticed him, and he's really good in it too.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
And James, well, that was Frankenstein, yeah,
Yep,
right?
director of
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Yep,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought so.
Because he was gay, and he was had a lot of problems in Hollywood, like probably a lot of gay people did in that era,
Oh
sadly. And
yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of him is retired, and Brendan Fraser's his young gardener who shows up to work at his house, and it's kind of their relationship. But it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you remember, kind of on that same token, for years, Rob Zombie was trying to get that kind of the last days of Groucho Marx movie off the ground, and he just couldn't.
Oh,
He struggled and struggled and struggled and just could not get it made. But he was trying.
wow, wow. Oh yeah. Speaking of Rob Zombie, so what'd you think of the Monsters?
I know I will go stand in the corner of shame very soon, but I have not seen it yet. I haven't had Netflix
Oh, I'm
since it
interested to
came out.
see because it took me. I liked it, but it took me twice to watch it.
So you mean two sittings
Two
or
sittings, yeah. I think you have to. I'm not going to give anything away to you guys. I want you to watch it cold, but you have to go into it with the right frame of mind of what he was trying to do.
okay?
Yeah, but I watched it the second time, and it's still not my favorite zombie, but I liked it a ton of a lot more the second time.
It's a lot like every zombie movie. People either seem to love it or they hated it. Like there's very few. Oh, it was all right. It's like it's very strong reactions on both sides.
Well, I think a lot of people, me kind of too, went into it expecting it to be one thing,
Mhm.
but it's not.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm interested to hear your take on it at some point.
Man, as soon as I get Netflix again, it's just there's just too many streaming services right now, and there's too many that are free. Plus, I'm trying to do the great DVD rewatch, so I just haven't had a lot of motivation to get Netflix again.
Yeah, all I have right now is I have Netflix, then I have Amazon with my Prime,
Mhm.
and I have Criterion. But I had Hulu for a while to see the new Predator movie, but
Mhm.
then I dropped that afterwards, which I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, that was the one that takes place in the past, right? The Disney.
Yeah, it takes place in like 1600s America, where he
Mhm.
comes down and battles a Native American tribe.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think currently I have, of course, Prime with Walmart Plus. Got a subscription to Paramount Plus, so I have Paramount Plus at the moment. And
Oh,
then of course there's Tubi and all those kind of stuff in YouTube. There's just too much. It's too much, man. Too much.
I love Tubi.
Yeah. Oh, Tubi is the best. I mean, it has got the most obscure movies on there.
Yeah, and it's like people, I don't like it. So you have to watch a few commercials. It's like, what difference does it make?
I know, right? And
Yeah,
that's one of those ones
it's
that
free.
if they did a pay version without commercials, I think it'd be worth it because I mean they have such good stuff on there.
And yeah, and the thing I've discovered too is when you find something on there, you better watch it because they
Yeah,
rotate stuff out a lot.
that is true. It comes and goes quickly. At least they kind of tell you, like they have that leaving soon category that you can kind of see.
Yeah, another good one that's free is Kino Cult.
Right. Yeah, I will watch some of their stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, again, I think they have a pay model where you don't get commercials, but they do have a free one that's really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really been digging, of course, like, I like quirky kind of oddball documentaries. And Tubi gets a lot of really good ones there. And I actually watched one I really enjoyed. It's something like My Stupid Cover Band or This Is My Stupid Cover Band, something like that. But it was this documentary about essentially the world's most popular AC/DC tribute band.
Oh,
Yeah, it was pretty darn entertaining.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of documentaries on there.
So jumping back to the con theme, I actually have a really kind of oddball, quirky con memory I wanted to share. So I was waiting front row for a concert, and that was one of the things I always associate with cons. And the earliest cons I went to was music and concerts because I always did Dragon Con, and Dragon Con always had a ton of nightlife, and they always had concerts, and would actually get real bands coming through and playing them. But I was sitting there waiting for a show to start, and there was this weird little pre-show, and Claudia Christian, if you know who she is, came in with a bunch of friends, and they were like kind of drunk and having a good time, and they just came up to the front, and I remember she grabbed me and dragged me up in front of this huge full ballroom, wanting me to dance with her. I didn't know how to dance at all. It was the most awkward, strange thing. I was like, well, Claudia Christian wants to dance with me. I don't
You're
know how
not
to
going to say
dance.
no to that.
Exactly. So I just kind of stood there wiggling like an idiot. But
Wow, this was in LA, I take it.
no, no, this was actually back in Georgia. It was a Dragon
Oh,
Con.
wow, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the 90s, probably I'd say 97, 98-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember they had I was there once and Blue Oyster Cult was there.
Oh, wow.
They
Blue
didn't play. There was a couple of the guys were there with the author Michael Moorcock.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I think it was like, Buck Dharma and somebody else was
Mm.
there. And they were really cool. They didn't play or anything, but it was just kind of cool walking by. Hey, there's Blue Oyster Cult sitting at the
Mm.
table. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing the Misfits there a couple of times. Let's see. I didn't go in because I was doing something else, but one year Jefferson Starship played a show there.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Dragon Con used to get music guests, but you don't see a lot of music people at cons, I guess. They're too busy touring.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. And I just kind of got off track myself. That was one thing. I was always so spoiled by cons having nightlife and having bands. So when I did move out to the West Coast and finally went to a San Diego Comic Con, I was just so surprised that after the dealer room closed, it was over, done, nothing to do, nothing at all. Just go back to the hotel. No concerts, nothing like that.
Huh, that's strange for San Diego, but yeah. It seems like they have at least have costume contests or
Yeah.
something.
I
Yeah.
mean, that was a great thing about Dragon Con. I haven't been to a Dragon Con since probably 2004, but from the moment it started on that first day, there was something to do until it ended that Sunday. You were never at a loss for something to do. 24 hours a day.
Well, it used to be spread over when I used to go, probably back when you were there too. It used to be spread over like three, four hotels.
Yeah, that
And
too.
like you said, there was stuff. I mean, if you were into gaming, there was pretty much gaming 24 hours a day.
Gaming, and I remember the whole robot battling thing, where people would build those robots and
Yeah.
make them fight. That was a big thing for a couple years. I remember like a lot of people really getting into that and wanting to go battle their robots.
Yeah, I haven't been to that in years. I know I'm close now. I could go again, but I don't know, for some reason, I just got out of the habit.
I've heard that it's kind of become just another San Diego Comic Con that's just way too big for its own good now. And when a con gets too big, to me, that kind of loses the charm.
It is because they used to get. It was always small and but not small, but you could always move around easily enough, and there
Mm.
was never any massive lines there. And they used to get. I remember they had John Carpenter there one year.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
He was promoting the Vampires movie, and I remember D. Snyder was there one year when
Yeah,
he
I've seen.
when he
Oh,
brought that movie out, and he was really nice.
well, we must have been at a bunch of the same Dragon Cons.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I
yeah,
went every year from 94 to 2004.
that's probably about my time range. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we used to because it's only about a 6 hour drive from me, and we would just drive down on Friday morning and leave again Sunday afternoon.
Oh wow, 6 hours. See, yeah, see, I was probably an hour and a half from Dragon Con, so it was much easier.
The thing I always remember about Dragon Con, it was always hot as balls there.
Yeah, especially when it was in the
It
summertime.
was always
Yeah.
in Atlanta,
Hmm.
downtown Atlanta, and you'd be walking through those concrete streets, and it would just be bacon.
Yeah, yeah, because that was one of the things is often the hotel you'd have to get would be blocks away from the convention center. So you would have to walk all those blocks.
Wasn't that maybe we talked about this before? Was that the con where that Doctor Who passed away?
No, that was Magnum Opus Con in
Ah,
my tiny little hometown.
oh
And
yeah, I remember we did.
yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
yeah, I want to say it was 87 when that
Oh,
happened.
okay.
And my very first con.
Oh wow, and Doctor Who died at
Yeah.
it. I mean to laugh, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, folks. Well, that's really all the time we have for this one. The counter's running down on us. Anything you want to add, good sir?
No, I think this was a good one. Part two. Yeah, we covered a lot more stuff. So cool.
Take us out.
I have. And everybody, and thanks a lot for tuning in. Cons part two. Thanks a lot. And we'll be back soon. Bye.